Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro. Hello there, everyone. What's up? It is the week of July 6th through 12th, and we are deep in the weeds of Mercury retrograde in Cancer, coming off a wild 4th of July weekend with Mars and Uranus conjoined. And we're looking ahead at a week of Neptune retrograde, Venus moving into Virgo, and gearing up for the Barbault Basket. Don't know what any of that means? Stick with us because we're going to get into it. Tali here in New York. Ophi, you're also in New York. We're in different locations. But it's been one of the nice things about being in New York for Cancer season and even Mercury retrograde in Cancer is that we've gotten to spend time together as sisters, and I've gotten to spend time together with your daughter Sibel, my niece, and be here in our shared apartment in the city that we love so much. I don't know, I felt such a distinct change of mood when the sun moved into Cancer. Gemini season, when I arrived here on June 9th, it was like, boom, we hit the ground running.
Yeah,
Next
June really felt
things,
like 2 or 3 months in one until the sun went into Cancer because it was our first time, most of us in our lives experiencing this Uranus also in Gemini during Gemini season. And anyone who did who's still alive was a teenager at their oldest. It was during the 1940s, maybe a little older than that, but a precious few. And yeah, it really accelerated the pace. It made it very exciting, but also by the time Cancer season arrived, I was like, whoa, my hair was fully blown back. I mean, I got poison ivy. I had to go on steroids. Now I'm on something else to counteract the effects of the steroids I was on. It was like, oh my gosh.
And
We're
I
in a
even got a tiny
whirlwind.
bit of poison ivy too in our back. So we are very fortunate to have a little backyard of our own in our New York apartment. We've had this place for nearly 30 years.
24 years. It was two horse years ago,
It's
cycles
24
ago.
years
Yeah.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2002, the year of the water
Cancer South
horse.
Node in our chart, we have lucky real estate karma. So if you don't know your North and South nodes, you should definitely look them up on the calculator. We'll include that. But the nodes are 2 points in the sky that are associated with the eclipses. Basically, points where eclipses were taking place when you were born, and they're in opposite signs. We talked about them a couple weeks ago
And
with
we're going to talk about it
Taurus.
again because at the
Yeah,
end of July, they're making another switch from
yeah.
Virgo and Pisces to Leo and Aquarius. So
Yeah,
that is
that's a
also,
collective
yeah,
karma. So the South Node, you read a lot of things about it being this like thing you need to get rid of, this karmic lesson that you bring in from a past lifetime, which is true. But I also find that the South Node is where you have so much ease and facility that it's easy to kind of stagnate and spin your wheels. It's like, well, why bother? Because I've got that handled. So,
it's like
um,
the Nepo baby of your chart,
it kind of
basically.
is the it's a nepo baby, and then the North Node is the medicine or the new evolving language that you're here to learn that you kind of maybe struggle with, but you're always like hell bent on figuring out, and then you start to gain mastery over, and I feel like it's always about balancing the two. So with our Cancer South Node, like there's a deep domestic streak, homebody streak going on, at least for me. And then the Capricorn North Node is, I feel like you're more into that. Like, I feel like I represent the Cancer South Node, me, Tali, and Ophi is
I've been playing more in the Capricorn
Capricorn.
North Node sandbox, doing a lot of our like business and corporate and professional astrology offerings, just kind of bringing this work into, but you know what, I actually would call it more of an integration, because I work with a lot of mostly women, or very empathic leaders, business leaders who want to do conscious business, and I'm helping them with using astrology and human design and our IAM system and all the tools of that. I'm also doing a Harvard mindful leadership certification this summer.
That's
How
very
Uranus and
Cancer Cap
Gemini,
too.
very Cancer
Yeah.
cap. So it's not that I'm not a homebody, but I definitely let Tali do all the details of everything happily. Sometimes, she wants to shop for my clothes. I'm happy, because otherwise I'm just buying
But I
four of
can't
the same
believe how
black
many,
dress.
yeah, I can't believe how many Mercury. I just turned into sort of an introvert during, I was like, I'm gonna call a bunch of people, but I just like got obsessed with like, there were some things that needed to be set up in this apartment and it kind of consumed me. It was like, for example, there's now a magnetic screen door on the back. We had a bunch of flies coming in. And it was really driving both of us crazy, but it was like, just put on the magnetic screen door. And I got all new cushions for our furniture outside. We didn't really have fully waterproof ones. Now we do. We planted hydrangeas back there and some perennials. And our friend Jay brought over some really pretty flower pots. Thank you so much for the terracotta pots. And I learned about seasonal interest. So we can, instead of filling the pots with soil, she suggested putting baskets in that you can replace. I was like, good
It's a really good
idea. And then,
idea.
yeah. And then our friend Brandy, who was actually on our podcast, talking about Minnesota a
This
few
winter.
months ago, this winter, yeah, 6 months ago, probably, but she was really on the ground reporter for what was happening during the ICE protests there, is actually a shaman and sent over an incredible house blessing kit, just knowing that we were doing all this work here. So if you haven't done any house clearing, space clearing, energy resetting in your house, Mercury retrograde in Cancer is actually a great time to do that. I'm going to put the link to Brandy's website in because what she sent over, and thank you so much, Brandy, isn't it's like her space clearing spray. I learned that you have to first do Palo Santo or sage, then you replace and kind of replace that energy with something more high vibration. So it has Florida water, agua de Florida, and rose, and then I lit some
Mm.
candles. So it just feels
Oh, so
great
like
in here.
if people who've been saging cleared the space, then they've created kind of like an energetic vacuum. So you want to put something new in
Yeah, I didn't know that. So all this time, because
that.
I'm an
Okay.
astrologer, I'm in the stars, but this was a correction that Mercury retrograde in Cancer. I learned that from her a while ago, but we didn't have the spray here. I have it home in Seattle, so it's just it felt like a good reset.
It's a really good Mercury retrograde in Cancer thing to do, just resetting the energy of our homes between now and July 23rd. While it's in Cancer, the sign of home and family. And I'm sure some people who spent time with their families during these charged political times, yeah, there have to be at least one or two people who came back a little banged up from some family fights over the barbecue, or having to suppress themselves from not getting into the conflict of it all. So
I mean, Mars Uranus conjunction in Gemini. Like Mars and Uranus are the most combustible planets. And this past weekend, 4th of July weekend, they were together at the same degree of Gemini. Now, Mars and Uranus will join up every 2 years. They meet up because Mars takes 2 years to go through all the signs. but their conjunctions have been in Taurus for the last 7, 8 years. So this is the first one they had in Gemini. And I would say a certain Gemini in the White House did not fare so well. There was a
Yeah.
storm that's what were some of
Well,
the
Uranus rules. Mars is fire and fights, and we had white nationalists marching on the National Mall. We had Uranus is lightning and storms and surprises and disruptions. And I mean, we saw the Brooklyn Bridge catch on fire from a fireworks. A Chicago plane was landing and got hit by a firework. It was okay, but it was like there were so many. There was,
And
Mercury
there was a major
retrograde
lightning
combined.
storm here in New
Oh
York
yeah,
on Friday, July 3rd, during Taylor Swift's wedding. It was so hot all day, like sweltering, don't want to leave the house. And then all of a sudden that broke with a storm, I think right when her wedding was happening. I
and
was
let's not forget that Jupiter is spending its first full week in Leo. It just left Cancer after a year on June 30th and went into Leo. So, emerging from the shell of Cancer into this dramatic Leo, while Mercury goes retrograde and retreats in Cancer. So, we have this dual effect of like, hello, I'm here, Cancer to Leo with Jupiter, which is the supersizer and very showy, while at the same time while Mercury retrogrades into Cancer and retreats and calls us back in. And we're going to see that again at the end of the month. Jupiter is going to Jupiter is going to remain in Leo until next July, but the South Node, which calls us to retreat, is also going to go into Leo for a year and a half at the end of this month on July 26th. So it's a simultaneous, like, come out, now go back. Come out, now go back. We need to get used to this dance. So we had these big showy moments and then lightning strikes or other things, just it's going to be, and then with Uranus and Gemini, which is also so dualistic, both, and this we're gonna have to get used to being like two things can be true at the same time.
I mean, again, the year of the fire horse is not daddy, I want a pony. This is wild stallion energy. It's a 1 year in numerology. We had all these outer planets majorly shifting into new signs for the first time in centuries. In the case of Neptune, for longer spells, things that got previewed in 2025. So, we're in this really just new territory as well. It's still transitional. This is a good moment to talk about human design because this is also, and if you have our big book, our 2026 horoscope book, um, there is an article about a post in our almanac at the back, a post,
Chapter.
a
Yeah.
chapter. It's
What do
book.
you
Where
call
am
it
I
anymore?
anymore?
Books
Yeah, no.
and yeah, the
There's a chapter about
content.
human design because this is a really major year. Just like we have ages in astrology, we have these 412-year cycles. So we are
Yeah, they're called
ending.
the
Yeah.
global incarnation cross, and they're based on uh, the ages, which are around 24,000 years, 24 to 26,000 years, based on the precession of the equinoxes, these around 25,000 year cycles that are divided by the 64 gates of human design or the hexagrams, the I Ching or the gene keys. And that gives us about a 400-year period where four specific points are creating what's called a global incarnation cross and setting the tone for the world. So we've been in what's called the cross of planning or the era of planning since 1615, and that's ending on February 15th, 2027. And when an age like that ends, An era ends, there's a lot of chaos and change and turmoil, and the planets are coinciding with that. We're moving into the era of the sleeping phoenix, which is going to be less about control, less about giving our authority away to leaders. This is why there's so much turmoil within leadership, according to human design, too, that there's um, this new self-directed energy rather than kind of the worship of this person has. I guess what's happened is like our trust in leadership has really eroded because people have become more autonomous, conscious, and self-directed. So we don't need to just give our authority over to a mommy or daddy figure. So but you see the backlash. You see people kind of clinging to that old way and doubling down on that as well, which is why these big institutions like churches and governments and very extreme and fundamentalist political parties, et cetera, like everything's going to extremes. And we got to ride out this fire horse storm, I guess. And just
And the early days of Pluto and Aquarius. And speaking of human design, we've been getting more and more obsessed with it and the connection to astrology, because for the longest time, it was just like, what are you talking about? Manifesting generator, projector, what does that even mean? So we've spent the last year like reverse engineering it, diving into the I Ching gates. Human design is fundamentally anchored in astrology, and you have two charts, your birthday chart that you know, and your design chart 88 days earlier. And so we will be releasing our summer course. Oh,
yeah.
do you want to talk about the course that we're going to be releasing this summer?
Yeah, so we're kind of informally calling this the summer of somatic astrology. Chiron, the healer, is now in Taurus, which is calling us to be more embodied and anchored where we are. So human design brings astrology into the body. It allows you to experience your chart through energy centers and some very unique ways. So we've created a course, Human Design for Astrologers, and we're going to put it on sale this week. We'll have a link for you. And you can join us. We have it for a really special introductory price. It's going to be a combination of self-paced lessons and a few live teaching discussion Zooms as well. So it'll be available to start watching and learning at the end of this month, but we're going to put it on sale this week. It's normally going to be $9.97, but we're doing it for $3.97. And we have a special bundle. Our friend Helena Woods, who has a beginner's astrocartography course, we're going to bundle it with that. So if you really, astrocartography and human design are the two things that have come up again and again. And rather than reinvent the wheel with that, she has an amazing class that's normally $297. So we're bundling it if you want to learn both this summer. That also felt like it was part of somatic astrology, being where you are on this planet. Taurus is very terrestrial. So while you wait for human design to come out, if you wanted to learn astrocartography, you can get started on her course. That one will be available right away for you to do in July. And then we're going to release human design on Carl Jung's birthday, July 26th. He wrote the foreword to the original I Ching translation and brought that in, united the Western and Eastern modalities. So it just kind of worked out that way. So that's what we're doing. We're going to drop the link in the show notes. It's humandesignforastrologers.com is where you can go and sign up. And hopefully by the time you're listening to this, it will be fully open for you to go and already start doing the astrocartography if you get the summer bundle. And if not, you will be in there with us and have your spot reserved. And then a couple weeks from now, right as the North Node goes into Aquarius on July 26th, you will have all your modules. And
But astrocartography will be available this week.
Yep,
We're just doing the
astrocartography.
last bits of tech to make sure Mercury retrograde doesn't mess with anything at all. But yeah,
It already has, which is
astrocartography,
why I'm like,
the
yeah.
7 modules of astrocartography are already ready to go. They just
Yep.
if you get that
Can
bundle.
already if you get the bundle for just an extra $200 and you get lifetime access to both courses, well worth it. You can start to find out where in the world you'll thrive, and what a rabbit hole that's been. So much fun. So
So
yeah,
much good stuff, but also very clear the way that Helena teaches it and the way that we're going to. So let's get back to this week. Neptune turning retrograde on July 7th. That's Tuesday. Neptune is a planet of dreams, illusions, the transcendent, the afterlife, or that kind of places where the veil is very thin between worlds. It moved into Aries at the beginning of this year on January 26th, and it's there all the way till 2039. So we've got a long stretch of it, but this energy is very new. We had a little sneak preview of Neptune and Aries last year from March 30th to October 22nd. And it did start its retrograde in Aries last year, and then it moved back into Pisces. So this year is the first full year of Neptune retrograde in Aries. And I think a lot of illusions around war, leadership, even all these kind of Aries, big promise, trailblazing ventures around AI.
oh
Aries is a
yeah,
sign of novelty. It's go, go, go. There's a real paradox here because Neptune is the ruler of the very last sign, Pisces. Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. Neptune wants to just like chill and do mushrooms and go into like a cloud. And Aries, like, I'm on. I want to, performance. I want a body hack. I want a longevity. I want to like make it all. So like
it's a little exhausting, especially
it's a
with
little
Saturn there too.
confusing, but I think it's also a call. 2024 we named the year of transcendent leadership. I think that a lot of people who maybe were thinking during that dragon year, a lot of transcendent leaders who kind of started to, and we're seeing those transcendent leaders, maybe they started to kind of build up their following then. I think they're starting to come out this year and yeah, it's interesting. Like
And maybe we transcended the need for leadership,
in
like I was
some
saying about the cross of the sleeping phoenix coming up. So, what does it even mean? So, what's kind of fun in an angel number way is that Neptune is retrograde from 7/7 to 12/12, July 7th to December 12th. And there's a lot happening in that window of time. So, it's definitely going to shape a lot of what's happening in the world, global events with, like Tali said, war, etc. Sometimes an outer planet, those are the slower moving planets from Jupiter to Pluto. Sometimes when those go retrograde, it actually is a little bit of a relief, or like Neptune is
Mhm.
a fog machine, and the retrograde is like the rolling back of the fog that exposes everything that's underneath it.
There's
And
also a quarter moon in Aries the very same day this week, this Tuesday. So Neptune retrograde in Aries with this very balancing quarter moon. So are we going to get this more balanced perspective?
mhm,
Like there's a lot of talk about the Michigan primaries or Democratic Socialists are, really gaining traction because people want, as you said, a leadership that isn't about taking corporate money, but more representative of the voices of the people. And right now, democratic socialists who aren't beholden to, large corporations to water down their
or
messages.
PACs, political action coalitions, and that kind of thing. They're not taking donor money. I mean, it's so hard now because to be heard and seen, you either have to be like 100% out there really serving the people and leaving it all on the dance floor, or you have to take money from donors that have their own interests. I mean, that's the real breakdown with this planning era
And I think it's
too.
a generational thing too, because younger voters are going to be less likely to listen to PACs and more likely to get hyped up by social media. And that was something that Zoran Mamdani did so well. And, it's like he did not take money. He went and but he filmed, he got on social media, told us what to do with our air conditioners, told us there was going to be a flood warning this morning. I mean, it's been really interesting being in New York. It's like, cool, the mayor is accessible. He's not trying to put himself up here and everyone else down there. I mean, that's just,
He rides a city bike, he rides a subway. I mean, let's look at like what these people born in the 90s and the early aughts have different outer planets. Those are the generational planets in their charts. Some of from 95, late 95 till 2008, they have Pluto and Sagittarius. They're here to transform global alliances. They have Uranus and Neptune in
yeah,
Capricorn and
conjunct in
Aquarius.
1993. Is that when
Yeah.
Mamdani's 1993? Because that was
One,
the,
91.
oh, okay. Well, the early 90s, they have Neptune Pluto conjunction, which only happens every 170-ish years. So that's a
Yeah.
super rare alignment of Pluto, which like can really focus and get in, and it's like power, underground power, transformation next to Neptune, which is about compassion and sacrifice and transcendence. Speaking of Neptune,
Mhm.
so that conjunction in Capricorn is all about modifying systems. So please, 90s born millennials, take
89,
over
90,
because
91. Yeah.
Gen
Mhm.
X and boomers are just not doing it
There are a
right.
lot of people born in 1996 and 97 in the news too right now, from Jalen Brunson to Zoran's wife, Rama Duwaji, who's only born in 1997. I was oh
Mm,
my God, she's 29. Like she's in her
right.
Saturn return. But a lot of them are, yeah, they're born with Pluto and Sagittarius, and they are calling out the ugly side of how a lot of countries' histories have been formed. And it's really not, that's the boomers. A lot of the boomers are have Pluto and Leo, and Pluto's now in Aquarius, which is the opposite sign. So you see that real struggle with that. Some of our friends' parents and our parents, like they grew up in a totally different reality. And you can see that by the way,
The
you know,
World War II, they have this nationalism that is starting to expire in a lot of ways, even though we have the World Cup going on. It's kind of funny. It's like this, but the players for all the teams aren't like, oh, look, we have Swiss, all white people. They're like from all over the world on all the teams, which is, I think, is
mm-hmm.
awesome. And it's just like where the world is right now. This whole ethno-nationalism model of the cross of planning is kind of falling apart. And it's like people
Because it's
are
supposed to,
people.
in
Because
many ways. We're ready for something new. I mean, you can see it. There was turmoil everywhere. There's earthquake in Venezuela, and people, are really just
tragic.
it's so
Yeah.
tragic. Russia's attacking the Ukraine over and over again. The Iran supreme leader's funeral just
There
had,
were
I mean,
like 30,000 people and all kinds of their state regime media hyped it up. I mean, it's like
mhm.
what a Mars Uranus, it's like what a
It's like the
do in
VP of the
Gemini.
right. It's like
What a
communities and
duality from like
leaders.
the protests that were happening there. It's really, I mean, that is, people are in a state of confusion and shock. It's like, do we protest? What happens if we protest? Like just these harsh sentences that got sent down for the ICE protesters in Texas. We talked about that last week, like who got 30 to 50 years in prison from a US judge for protesting on the 4th of July last year in a outside a Texas detention center. And now people are mourning the Ayatollah, even though, I mean, it's just like we're
Well,
in a
one of the
state of
thing that's
confusion right
happening,
now.
through the micro lens of human design is that you can also track the moving planets through those 64 gates, those little sub degrees of astrology. So Uranus, which is revolution since late spring into next spring, is aligned with gate 20, which is also in the throat, which is the gate of the now. So it's this throat activation of revolutionary Uranus, which now is like, we want it now. Nobody's thinking about the future, the past. It's just really in the moment and passion. And we're seeing that everywhere. Like the Philippines, they want to impeach the VP. She said something about assassinating the president. It's just like, I mean, I don't think that there's a country on this planet that is peaceful at the moment. Maybe there is, and we need to go visit it, but it's
Right.
I
Well, there
can't find
are.
anything. I mean, and even like this month, the
Even if there
Knesset,
is, they're fighting another country in the World Cup.
exactly. Oh, exactly. So the Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament, is set to dissolve, the current one. So they have to dissolve the leadership. They have a hard date of October 27th for the next election. So they'll probably push it to that date. And about 90 days or whatever, a certain amount of time prior, they have to start to dissolve the current leadership, where investigations will happen and things, a lot of bills and everything are getting pushed through. But this is when Neptune is retrograde and a lot is going to come out. And I was just looking at that October 27th date. I mean, that is one hell of a date, too, because we have Venus is going to go retrograde. Venus is retrograde October 3rd to November 13th this year, and split between Scorpio and Libra. So Netanyahu is a Libra. 2 days before the election, Venus, which is the ruling planet of Libra, goes retrograde in Libra. That probably won't go well for him. There's a Taurus full moon the day before this election date, which Israel is a Taurus ruled country. The sun is going to be squaring Pluto between Scorpio and Aquarius. So I'm a little worried about any civilians living in that region of all ethnicities. The people are always paying the prices for the governments. And then in Israel's chart, Israel has the moon and Saturn in Leo, and Mars, which is the planet of war, is going to be exactly conjunct Saturn, which is leadership, authorities, and boundaries in Leo. So, I mean, that's definitely going to be a time when accountability for everything that's happened in Gaza and with the settler violence and everything, October 7th, etc., is all going to come to the fore. And the day that the Knesset has to dissolve is going to be right at the Barbault Basket. Tali was
July
talking
17th.
about that. July
Let's talk about the
17th.
Barbault Basket.
Yeah, you
And
might
we
have seen it
will,
on your social media. Mm-hmm.
by the way, just the US midterm elections are also going to be under those same
Oh, yeah.
transits as well.
Oh,
But
boy.
we're not going to talk about those today.
Different chart, but yes.
Yeah, we do need to analyze that in an upcoming episode. So the Barbault Basket is this formation involving four planets. So the number four, if that starts showing up for you, four planets all at 4 degrees, making all these different formations to each other. So, and they're assembling in the shape of a basket. So we have two trines and then multiple sextiles. These are all free-flowing energies that are considered to be soft angles, meaning, there's nothing blocking the current. It's just like so
Mm-hmm.
it's named after Andre Barbault, a French astrologer who really made a bunch of predictions based on this. So involved are Jupiter, 4 degrees Leo, trine Neptune at 4 degrees Aries. So we have this fire trine between the very idealistic rose-colored glasses planets that want everything to be optimistic and perfect and beautiful, but can also be very like boundary challenged, but expansive, transcendent, globally active too. We have another trine between an air trine between Uranus and Gemini. Lots of ideas, innovation, and Pluto and Aquarius, space age, travel, technology, wealth transfers, all of that. And then they're kind of weaving together again. So Jupiter is sextile, two signs apart, this friendly angle to Uranus. So there's some free-spirited liberation, revolution energy going. And then Pluto is sextile Neptune. So all those, so it's like who's in charge, what's going on behind the scenes, where's the money going, illusions, you know. So it's a little bit, it's shady business, radical movements, all the
It's really
things.
interesting when there's a friendly harmonious angle between two planets that are not usually paired together. It's almost like Love Island or something. Like these two could fall in love, but will it survive after the series ends? Kind of, it's or like
And the
almost like having a
four of them,
potluck with four people that have nothing in common.
this
It's a
is like
reality show in the
really
sky,
when,
really.
yeah. And funny enough, we're in the quarter finals. So there'll be four matches next week, this upcoming weekend
Hmm.
for the World Cup. So the next couple days, there's going to be some real determining games. Already in the quarterfinals are France versus Morocco, which is interesting because there's ties between those countries, and England versus Norway, which feels very Viking era. Um, the next couple days there's the playoffs or they call them the knockout games in the World Cup. So Spain versus Portugal. I know they have Cristiano
He's
Ronaldo.
an Aquarius, right?
Is he? I know, and he's like all into Trump. So boo. Um,
Yeah.
Egypt versus Argentina. Egypt just won a game against Bosnia, and the coach dedicated the win to Gaza. Colombia versus Switzerland. That's an interesting one. Mountain ranges. And then we got to talk about the USA versus Belgium because this is so Mars Uranus, so Neptune retrograde in Aries already rearing its head. This is really just par for the course, but also disappointing and frankly just going to make any sort of victory feel hollow. So, uh, one of the US's strikers, Folarin Balogun, got a one game suspension, a red card as it's called. Red being Aries color, interesting Neptune in Aries. But he got a red card and was supposed to be suspended from this upcoming game because he stepped on the ankle in a weird, awkward way of a player, and that's just the penalty. Trump called up his buddy uh Gianni Infantino, who's an Aries, more Aries, and is 56, looks like he's like 76. And is he literally um overturned that penalty. So now the striker Fulgano gets to play in this um knockout match to see if the USA can beat Belgium and get to the quarterfinals. So just like everything else, his golf tournaments,
The
his
Nobel Peace Prize. He's got to
exactly.
insert himself
He doesn't
into the
care how he gets,
narrative.
and he'll take it any way he can get it. He'll cheat his way into the victory. It's like if the USA were to win the World Cup, it would just feel like they didn't really win it. It would feel like a cheat. It's just there's nothing, no one winning by cheating only feels good to a grand malignant narcissist. And
Because
the
I think
people
they're
who love
entitled
that.
to win anyway, and that they're the center of every narrative.
Yeah, he just made a call to his buddy Infantino and got it, bada boom, bada bing. We got the contract cleared. It's just, it's so stuck. It's so disgusting. And I actually think that
Remember what he did in 2025? He he took the World Cup trophy that was given to him. The team visited him. He was given their inaugural peace prize, held on to their World Cup trophy. So the actual winners from Chelsea had to be given a replica at the final because he kept the freaking
he
trophy.
literally kept it.
Yeah. So he's no doubt looking to do that again.
Oh, this timeline we're on. I really do feel like he represents the very end of the cross of planning. Like you couldn't, it's like it's the cross of planning being kind of these industrialized, corporatized systems, like everything is neatly ordered and this is how it goes, and the rich people get this and the poor people do this. It's like this is how we do it. And it's like it's so
Right.
coming to an end, but like the desperate way that people are hanging on and the extreme lack of creativity about being able to envision another way, a better way. Like, oh my God, if I don't have all these things that I forgot that even existed in my deep storage garage, my life will be terrible. It's like we can't, it's
Yet where do we put that stuff? I mean, this is really a foreshadowing of the coming nodal shift on July 26th when the
truly.
North Node moves out of Pisces. The nodes move through the zodiac in reverse. So it'll be moving into Aquarius until March 26th of 2028. And simultaneously, the South Node, which is our collective karma, which is where the shadow work we have to do, is going to be moving into Leo. So Aquarius is about the people and sharing and community and collective. Aquarius is like the democratic socialists, and Leo is a little bit like the DNC, I guess, right now. It's a
Right.
bit established.
And
It's like
the
the hierarchy. So we're already seeing these hints of the Aquarius North Node. Now Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, uranium, nuclear power. Just on the day that Mercury went retrograde, CERN, which is the European Organization for Nuclear Research, and the world's largest leading particle physics laboratory. It's in Switzerland, in Geneva. So it has an atom smasher to smash subatomic particles together, called the Large Hadron Collider. So they shut it down until 2030. Now, this is another interesting human design parallel because it talks about quantum physics and these tiny subatomic particles called neutrinos. Kabbalah talks about it too. The Rav Berg, who led the Kabbalah Center, talked about subatomic particles in some of his later works too. And Kabbalah is all about the Big Bang forming the universe. So what the Large Hadron Collider actually did was recreate conditions from the early universe, including the Big Bang, to try to help scientists understand how the universe was formed. So I know it's really fascinatingly, it's like, here we go with the prophecy now. So, your feed may be flooded with a lot of doomsday things, or like some people are saying, wow, I literally started to sleep better since they shut it down. So some energetically highly sensitive people are saying that they're even feeling this shutdown. I don't know. It could be a placebo effect like everything, or it could be real, but whatever the case is, like, it's like people who are living near data centers. Obviously, that's horrible. And it's like having a an industrial fan, but worse on all day.
The,
So who
the
knows?
CERN, I mean, the Large Hadron Collider was underground, right? So, and it was smashing atoms underground. I mean,
Who knows? I mean, we're in somatic, the summer of somatic astrology. What are we feeling in our bodies? It's happening below the earth. It's like we are being pulled to pay attention to this planet. It's so interesting as the North Node goes into Aquarius, which is about outer space and the future. We're going to be probably going to be painfully reminded that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We were created and evolved to live on this planet, not Mars, not the moon. That would, like what it would take to simulate life on Earth and the conditions of this amazing planet on another planet is so much crazier than what it would take just to treat this one well. So it's going to be, the fact that it's shut down for the first 3 years of the Sleeping Phoenix era, and during all these prophetic times that we've talked about, the Hopi prophecies, the Yuga cycles. It's probably not a coincidence. And even if it is, I think it isn't from a spiritual way. So, we're going to be talking more about this over the next couple of weeks, but in our 2026 book, we also did a chapter about the financial cycles and how they have followed the Leo and Aquarius nodal cycles that happen every 9.5 years and every 18 years for them to return. So we're calling 2026 to 2028 the Great Compression. Every time the North Node's in Aquarius, all the Leo gold rush speculation cools down a bit and corrects itself. I'm not saying anything's going to crash or anything like that, but we're already seeing that Anthropic and OpenAI, who are going to have IPOs, are talking about delaying them and not setting a date because of the investor market cooling. The SpaceX IPO with Elon Musk really blew its wad. He made it to be a trillionaire, and then it tanked down.
Of course it did
quickly because it was always planned that way. So, we're going to see more and more of that, some correction, but out of those corrections, great things come that really serve the people. So
is the Aquarius North Node. And I was, on the subject of CERN, it was somehow involved a little bit in time travel, not of,
to the past,
to the past. Like it was the neutrinos, right? Were able to almost somehow defy the laws of time. I had my own little conspiracy theory. There's all these conspiracy theories about Trump being a time traveler.
Right. The little Baron Trump book that you did that video on our Instagram.
Yeah, we have a video on our Instagram. I'll put the link to it. There's these fascinating, parallels. So I was like, oh, was Trump time traveling through, and the European Union is like, he's, screwed us over so hard, we're going to shut down his time travel portal.
That could be great if they did. Yeah. And I mean, he does have a 29-degree and 59-minute Leo rising. Degrees are how we measure a planet's travel through a sign. So the nodes, because they go backwards, they start at the very last degree of a sign. So at the end of July, the South Node is going to be right over Trump's ascendant, which is going to shake things up. So his first presidency was during the Leo North Node. His second one is going to be during the Leo South Node. So he got to be king the first time, but now this could be the dethroning cycle that so many of us have been waiting for.
And the ascendant is the dividing line between the first house, which is the baby, the novelty, the newness, and the 12th house, which is the afterlife. So the node is going to cross from his first house where it's been for a while. So of course he's been able to have all this, the South Node, all his karmic pulls, but having it move into his 12th house is
Ooh,
That's
the
that
karmic receipt.
dementia, that old age, that passage that we all see coming is really going to get agitated by that. So I don't
I can't
know.
imagine that that's going to
August,
go as
will
well
he still be
as,
in office
yeah.
in August? I would say there's more than a 50% chance that the answer is no, but I'm just going to leave it at that because,
Yeah.
I don't.
This could be the time when things really start to shift with him. And
Especially with JD Vance being a Leo, having to be the temporary. It's
oh
interesting.
God,
Little Marco Rubio is a Gemini. JD Vance is a Leo, and their signs are both involved in the Barbault Basket.
hmm.
There's a sextile. It's kind of like everyone's saying, oh, well, Marco Rubio is the contender for president. I mean, it's like I would rather have him any day than JD Vance. And, that's a real stretch. But at least he has actual, he's not controlled by Peter Thiel, a billionaire, though God knows who he is controlled by.
I
Yeah,
don't trust any of them anymore. So
I
I mean,
never did, never
he
did.
sold out so many times that it's like this is exactly what is dissolving here. This era of do whatever you need to do to keep your power. Like, so speaking of billionaires, there's another one who was all over the headlines and
Who
you
also
know,
happens to have an Aquarius North node and Leo South node is going into her nodal return. That would
that would
be
be,
Taylor
yeah,
Swift.
Taylor Swift, who is a Sagittarius, but with an Aquarius North Node, Leo South Node. So I was just thinking about Madison Square Garden. I mean, I was looking into some sacred geometry because it's built like a bicycle wheel. It almost looks like an astrology chart from above
Interesting.
in a lot of ways. But I thought, Aquarius is community, unity, and the people, and Leo is that sort of royal, hierarchical sort of A-lister thing. I was just thinking about how in the last 30 days, something so Aquarius and so Leo happened in Madison Square Garden. The Knicks, they were in San Antonio when they played the winning game, but they brought Madison Square Garden, they made it into an Aquarius North node, foreshadowing of like, I mean, people wanted nothing to do with the Leo royal VIP stuff. They wanted to be out in the streets together, celebrating the Knicks, celebrating New York, reclaiming the lost energy and momentum and spirit of the city. And that was at Madison Square Gardens. They showed teamwork, all the traits of Aquarius,
Right.
unity. Even though Jalen Brunson was
Underdog,
the star, yeah, even though he was quote unquote the star, he was so humble and all about his team, and none of them were acting egotistical.
And
They were all,
a lot of them were under 7 feet too.
yeah,
Jalen Brunson is short for a basketball player, but so that's in that spirit of the Aquarian underdog.
mm-hmm,
Don't
yeah.
judge a book by its cover.
And then not a month later, we have Madison Square Garden on the 4th of July in a heat wave, vendors not making money during one of the most profitable times of the year, the city shutting down power access while all this power is going to this one place, all these celebrities being whisked off with NDAs and no clues. Like, I'm just like, I was just thinking like how bizarre it was, like turning Madison Square Garden into an actual garden and a castle kind of thing. This is all we know at the moment. But I mean, okay, it's your
Why
right
not
to
just
do a
go to an actual castle?
yeah, there were so many and to get married during Mercury retrograde, Mars and Uranus conjunct. I mean, look, I understand that, my I I my stepdaughter was obsessed with Taylor Swift when she was a kid. I think a lot of people grew up with her and followed her and identified with her. And so they're really invested in her love story, having this happily ever after, to the point where they put the blinders on, as we often do, and and this is also cross the planning again, don't want to see the other stuff too. So but I was looking at what happened there, like all the celebrities gathering. Jupiter and Leo. Jupiter is this coming out, And Carly Kloss, who's a friend of ours, and I've done readings and parties for her, and she's a Leo. The last time the South Node was in Aquarius and the North Node was in Leo, late 2017 to 2019. Their BFF epic friendship that started in 2012 cooled down. And I never talked to Carly about it. She was always I didn't bring it up, but she's very appropriate about what she talked about. So, she was very focused on her coding and other projects at the time. And so she and Taylor Swift stopped hanging out the last time the North Node was in Leo. Now the South Node is going into Leo. She's a Leo. Jupiter's in Leo. And she ends up kind of becoming the biggest subplot of this wedding weekend as she's photographed in a gold dress going to the wedding with her husband, who is Jared Kushner's brother. So it's got to be complicated for her. I haven't done any readings for Carly in a few years, but she, she's always been a good person in my experience of her, and really committed to democracy and girls and coding. So that's all I can say about that. But
an open Democrat, and even just said it on a podcast recently. But wasn't there a whole thing like Gaylor Swift? There's this whole like rumor that she and Carly Kloss were involved in a relationship or something.
Right. There's so much about that. And it's just
there's like the gold, like some song,
Easter eggs and all kinds of
things. And if they were, good on them, a Sag and a Leo.
Right.
But more like
no idea, but
friends doing their thing. But I wonder if that, everything she's been doing is very Leo South Node, which she has in her chart, like hyper focus on the wedding, the fairy tale, the castle, the celebrities, the romance. And I wonder with the North Node going in Aquarius, now that that's over, and as the midterms come, will she be more activated by that Aquarius North Node, or will it bring her into the more, Aquarian going along to get along, Team Kelsey? Because I don't know.
Well, that's what's really interesting about the Aquarius North Node, because Aquarius rules teams. So Aquarius is her learning curve. It rules friendships, teams, groups. I mean, she had her girls squad, and then she suddenly has these frenemies. Blake Lively wasn't at the wedding, who has the South Node in her sign, Virgo, a little longer. So who's Taylor's friend? Who isn't? The team, every time she does something Aquarian, it seems like, and that's what happens with your North Node. Sometimes you tend to overdo it and overshoot the mark. So she goes too far with the friends, too far with the groups, like 1,000 people at the wedding.
Right.
Probably been filmed. It's like becomes, you have to be careful with North Node energy. Like just a dab will do ya. When people go too far into it, it can feel like, whoa, just back it up, slow it down.
Her human design, interestingly enough, there's 5 types you can be: generator, manifesting generator, projector, reflector, or manifester. She is a projector. That's based on how the energy of your chakras connect. She's a projector, which I was surprised by a little bit because, but I guess not, because they actually tend to be more to themselves. And you think she kind of has has always had that outsider thing. One of their strategies for navigating life is to wait for the invitation. So
it's funny because she is always making people wait for an invitation from her. Like, how many celebrities, how did her invitation to her wedding, who was invited, who isn't? I mean, that's a theme of everything from her 4th of July parties to her videos. Who's going to be invited, and who's on the in, who's on the out.
Invitation as opposed to waiting for one, it gets really uncomfortable and awkward. That's not to say projectors can't invite, but it's like, wait for the invitation to invite people. And I think that can be really fraught for projectors.
Well, what it really means is to wait for the conditions. It's like wait for the bath water to reach the perfect temperature before you get in. Like,
That's
We
true.
went to the
That's
Knicks
important.
game in like these t-shirts with the two sisters from Haim, and it was like Stevie Nicks and this and that. And it was like, it seemed corny kind of. It was like, that was like what could happen to a
It made it
projector.
about them as opposed to the team. Like,
And that's what the Leo Southerners about. The Knicks, their victory belonged to everyone. And maybe Swifties would disagree with this, but her wedding seemed to belong to like those who were invited into the secret gated this and that. And now the rest of us just have to wait for the movie to come out at
right.
theaters about it.
There
It was like
probably
it was
is
a
going to be a
performance.
documentary about it. I will say I'm so glad this wedding is over because I'm so sick of my feed being filled with it. I'm
Oh
like
my
ready for
God,
something.
yes.
Even like Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach
Oh, it's so weird.
posted their wedding pictures with this little message to Taylor, how I wish you the most wonderful, da, 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 da. And it was like,
Well, they were
from your
there.
retired, oh, they were there.
They were invited. Oh yeah.
From
Like
your
some people,
retired English teacher and your retired PE teacher, which is kind of funny. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if Abby knows Travis from sports or if Glennon and I mean,
it was just kind of like, I mean, you have a wedding and you're like, I guess I got to invite my
it just
dad's
makes
co-workers, da 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 da. But it was sort of like, oh,
That's interesting that they were there. It had exclusion vibes. It's like, oh, you were in, but you got the golden Willy Wonka ticket to the wedding,
right. It
and
was it
you
was
didn't.
giving Leo with
Well, adding to that is the other transit that we didn't mention this week, which is Venus, which is a planet of love, but also peace and justice. And it's moving into Virgo, the sign of service. It's been in Leo since July 13th, which is like
yeah,
reflecting
everything.
pool drama, fireworks display causing smoke over the city, stupid state fairs, work, like all the pomp and circumstance and annoyance and romance and just like exhaustive performative bullshit. Sorry, I'm sorry to be so unromantic, but
We have no Leo in
I
our
had
chart.
fun with Venus and Leo too, like making things pretty here and doing, getting just to
It
spend
was a
time with
colorful
family.
time, but there
It
was a
was a
lot of
colorful
drama.
time, but it was, yeah, very creatively inspiring. But now Venus and Virgo, bring it on down, coming into the body. Virgo is one of the earth signs. It's time to kind of take assessment of our material plane resources, um, get ourselves back into a grounded routine. I'm heading back to Seattle tonight. I've been there for almost a month, so I'm very eager to see the progress in my garden, which my friend Molly took care of for me. Well, she watered it, but I don't know what's flowering and what isn't. I haven't gotten a picture for a while because she's been busy doing World Cup stuff. So that's also happening there. But it's kind of this just like, okay, let's get back to brass tacks. Let's start eating all the vegetables that we're growing. Let's start, but not the ones that give you explosive diarrhea because
That was a thing going around
it
with
is
that,
going
right?
around. There's a parasite on vegetables. So be
Oh,
careful with the
good Lord.
vegetables. I know how Mercury retrograde to have some gastrointestinal disorder.
Yeah.
Mercury
Cancer
retrograde in
rules the
Cancer.
stomach. Yeah. So
Virgo
that makes
South
sense.
nodes last in
Last
Q.
degree, the digestive system. Yeah.
Oh yeah, cook your
Watch what you eat.
vegetables, cook
Yeah.
your
Wash them
veggies,
and
they
clean them and
say.
cook them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
And yeah, just also kind of realigning with some of the administrative aspects of our relationships with other people. Like, what do we need to talk about? What new agreements do we need to make? What do we need to just agree to in order to keep the peace between us? So this is a
Coming
good,
back down to earth. Well, what's
yeah.
um
Thursday it starts and it goes until August 6th. So the rest of the month we have Venus and Virgo, which I think will bring some taming powers, if you will, to
the
Mercury
famous
retrograde. Yes.
phrase. And we also, speaking of human design and the taming powers, we have the sun moving for 5.5 days from July 6th through 12th through the gate of beginnings, which is in the
Mm.
root. So it's been in the throat, and then the G was like in the root 1 week, but I'm ready to do some rooting down. And, I think the gate of beginnings, like fresh start. I kept saying, is it July 5th yet? Because for the last few days, because I was just like, oh my God, can we just get this Taylor Swift wedding that's
Good
shutting down New
God.
York City and this July 4th, 250th America? It's not that I don't want to celebrate things. It's just like, what are we celebrating here? Like, America's 250 years old, and look at where we are and we're building concentration camps. It's like,
Oh, yeah, I
I
feel
can't
no,
celebrate this.
yeah.
Uh, I celebrate the good stuff that I'm grateful for. I'm not anti America. It's again, I hope that this Barbault Basket, this Aquarius North Node, can we just hopefully move into an era where you're not anti something because you speak out against something that a country or a government or an institution or a company or a family or any kind of system. And that is the planning era was also one of the gates in it is the gate of family. It's like any organized system that is founded and formed around something that is not healthy and good and democratic and fair to the freedom and power of everyone involved. Aquarius is about
Mm-hmm.
everyone having equal power or being empowered. We need leaders,
It's the
but not
most democracy
dictators.
oriented sign. And
No kings,
I
Leo
hope
South Node.
that the coach of the US team does not put that player in the game. Because if they win and he has anything to do with it, it's just going to make the rest of the World Cup feel like
It's
such
going
a
to ruin it.
sham. It's
And
like,
Saturn is going retrograde in Aries at the end of this month, too. So that's when really, like, anyone who's in a position of authority is going to have to get their receipts coming due as well. So it's a moment of choice. This week is a real choice point, the gate of beginnings. How about we reframe what we're doing? How about we step back and look at, is that really the direction I want to go in? Mercury
mhm.
retrograde reflection. So I hope he does the right thing. And, you take a bribe or you take a favor, you take a shortcut. Eventually, you may have to go back and do it over again the long way. Saturn in Aries is definitely teaching us that the lesson in the shortcut. Maybe it's just better to simplify and do it right.
Yeah, there's a lot to be, to look forward to too of like, but it all comes into kind of a more embodied state. We were talking earlier, Ophi, you got poison ivy at the beginning of Chiron and Taurus, and I even got a little bit. There was poison ivy growing in our New York City backyard. Thank God you had that scrub here. And I used it, but I still have just I just got like a few little spots that are like rough here. But it was weird that we both got a
I took
tinge.
it
You
as a
got it really
lesson.
bad. I got a little touch of it, but you got yours at
I
your.
had it all over to the point I had to take prednisone steroids. So I took it as a lesson of Uranus and Gemini. When I was on Helena Woods, our astrocartography teacher, I was on her podcast and she was saying how she thinks that Uranus and Gemini is words and a war of words, or that words matter more than ever. It's like I sign up for an Ivy League course, Harvard, and I get poison ivy. I've been calling human design astrology on steroids for a year. I have to go on steroids. This all coincides with me building our human design course and taking the Harvard course.
I
I was
like
like,
calling it somatic astrology. So
yes, I'm
let's stick with
switching to
that.
that. I'm switching over to that because
Yeah.
and I am having to be much more embodied because the steroids cause a lot of physical reactions
We started this trip with a pipe, the ceiling falling in our
in our
in our
bathtub. Yeah.
bathtub here in New York, and but one of the and we had a flood in our kitchen here in 2017, and the landlord has not wanted to replace some of the things that were like really the cabinets have been not a pretty sight, and it was this Mercury retrograde, the day Mercury retrograde, like we both kind of united our energy around the house, around the apartment here for the first time in a while. And like now we're getting a new kitchen here. I mean, it's going to be, basic New York City landlord, but who cares? Anything's better than that. And then we had to get
it's like the spell was broken by this. So I get, the moral of all of these kind of things is like, look at where there's friction and that kind of thing. The gate of beginnings too. Look at where in Venus and Virgo, where are the small repairs needed? Where are there things you can do right
especially
now?
Water, that pipe, there was a pipe in the ceiling that needed to be replaced, and it took the so our bathroom is fixed too. One of my other, handy woman things I did was put a new shower head on, and I did a lot of things that I used to let my ex-husband do, and I learned a lot from him, but I was like, I'm going to do this myself here. So so those are the types of, those repairs, those little leaks, those little, the small things matter.
Use your Mercury retrograde time between now and the 23rd and the Barbault Basket when things do flow with ease, even seemingly that don't go together, that use those things to make those shifts in your life. I have to get a mammogram. I've been putting that off. I'm going to I don't know, just like what am I not doing? Just making a simple call.
I know. I need a new glasses prescription.
I need all that. Yeah. It's like, this is the time. Venus and Virgo is like, get those little checkups. It'll make a difference and make your life more enjoyable. So summer of somatic astrology, like really enjoying being in the bodies that we live in.
And let me just also one more thing, speaking of the Aquarius North Node, Ophi vibe coded amazing tools for the human design course. So you are going to just be able to plug in your birthday and get a list of all of the gates and see the body graph. So I
made a whole software for
it. So it's
that does charts
all
and
this
reports
geeky
and everything else
stuff, but you'll get a whole report as part of the course and be able to do endless reports with the software for, to see where everyone's gates are. And it has you can roll over the chakras and it pops up with the info. So this is really amazing. It's so comprehensive and so cool. So you've already been prepping for this with you and our friend Angelina. Who is a Virgo. We're Virgos, our second birthday in human design, 88 days before. So there's a lot of
her sun is in a gate that plugs into one of ours. So what you'll also learn in the course is how you and another person plug into each other and activate things, like turning on a whole set of street lights. So turning on the Madison Square Garden marquee together. So
when we put her chart with your chart, our chart with, every single one of the chakras has a connection to it. So it's defined.
Makes sense of those relationships.
Who you feel really whole and complete around, and you put their, your body graphs together. Sometimes you're very I was doing a friend's chart, and she has this really strong relationship with her son, and we put their charts together, and every one of the 9 chakras was defined, meaning that there was a connection between them because of the
it even helped me resolve a couple of people that are not in my life anymore, and to understand what it was that by looking at how the body graph parts plugged into each other, I was like, that's kind of the empty space, the blank space, to get full Taylor Swift hit full circle. But okay, now I see why it was so hard to let that person go, because they plugged into something. So how can I get that energy? So understanding the role that their chart played energetically for me helped me go out and find ways to do that. So humandesignforastrologers.com. We would love to share. Obviously, we're passionate about this because we've been geeking out about it throughout this whole podcast, but let's let you get on to your summer, the gate of beginnings, new times, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Wash your vegetables. Cook them.
Cook your veggies, everyone. All right. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.